Welcome to the Fantasy Addiction Network. Today we're talking the fantasy recap for Week 14, Buffalo Bills versus Baltimore Ravens. Final score, Baltimore Ravens 24, Bills 17. So this game went pretty much as expected. It was mostly defensive battle, pretty close game down to the end. Bills gave them a good fight, but in the end the Ravens came out. Let's look at the fantasy angle for this. Let's start with the Bills. Josh Allen, as expected, did not put up too many good numbers for fantasy. He was 17 for 39 for only 146 yards. He had one touchdown, and he also had 2 carries for 9 yards, so not your typical rushing yardage for Josh Allen in this game. He also had a fumble, so that hurt his day. Devin Singletary did have a very good day, as we also kind of anticipated. 17 carries for 89 yards and 6 receptions on 8 targets for 29 yards. They were kind of using him very similar to the way that the Panthers use Christian McCaffrey. A lot of like dump off passes. I mean, Allen was getting smashed the entire game, so Devin Singletary was basically saving him from even more sacks. So look for Singletary to continue to get good usage like that. This is definitely 2 weeks in a row now that Singletary has shown that he can be relied on and trusted. Looking at the receivers, Cole Beasley saved your day. If you started him, he went 4 for 7 for 29 yards and a touchdown and a 2-point conversion, so barely any yards. He did have a really big pass that he just dropped, so he could have had a bigger day, but still, you'll take that. John Brown, if you started him, unfortunately did not do too well for you. He had 3 catches on 8 targets for 26 yards. At the very end of the game, a 4th down play, he came this close to scoring a touchdown and saving your fantasy day, but Marcus Peters said, no, smack the ball out of your hand. Not a good day for John Brown. Not really anyone else to speak of on the Bills side of the ball. There really wasn't much offense for them. Again, as we kind of anticipated, the Ravens defense is really good, and it's going to be something to monitor when you're playing fantasy players against Baltimore. Looking at the Baltimore side of the ball, Lamar Jackson, of course, you started him. He delivered. He had 16 completions out of 25 attempts for 145 yards, so not too much passing volume, but 3 touchdowns on the day, 1 interception, and then 11 carries for 40 yards, so not quite the rushing yardage that you've typically seen, but again, the Bills are a good defense. With those 3 touchdowns, you'll take them. Running back Mark Ingram had 15 carries for 50 yards, 3 receptions, and 29 yards. Came very close to getting a touchdown on multiple drives, got stopped on the 1 on one drive, got stopped on the 2 on another, so he could have had a much better day for you, but just not how the cookie crumbled. Don't panic off of Mark Ingram. They're still using him way more than any other running back, and I think he's going to have brighter days ahead. Nothing really else to speak of from the other running backs. On the receiver side, we had Willie Snead, pretty much the only relevant fantasy receiver on the day. 3 receptions on 4 targets for 13 yards and 1 touchdown. Again, not much from the receivers. Marquise Brown had 3 receptions on 3 targets for -2 yards. So if you had him in PPR, he got you positive. Otherwise, he got you negative. From a receiver standpoint, Mark Andrews had 1 dropped pass that would have been well, for one, he would have had a touchdown, and then another one, he dropped it like right outside of the end zone, so he could have had a much better day, and then he also got hurt, so he disappointed. Only 1 reception for 14 yards on 3 targets. Hayden Hurst came through once Mark Andrews left. He had 3 receptions for 73 yards and a touchdown on 3 targets. Nick Boyle also had 3 targets, 2 receptions for 10 yards and a touchdown, so you didn't start either of those guys, so it was a rough day if you started anyone other than Lamar Jackson. And I guess you could say Ingram had an okay day, but overall we expected this to be a defensive battle. It went just as planned, so hopefully you didn't start too many guys in this game other than Lamar Jackson. Alright, well, hopefully you guys enjoy this video. We'll see you in the next one.